welcome back to our coverage of the Grand Chess Tour. Our world champion looks like he may just run away with this thing, but it is Blitz, so anything can happen.
Yeah, but he's really putting a signature mark on this event. He has his second black running, having just defeated Vachier-Lagrave. He'll be facing Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and that'll be our marquee game for this round.
Right, I mean, MVL, an excellent Blitz player. We saw him take down Hikaru Nakamura earlier in the first round of this Blitz.
Exactly.
So this will be a big test. And Eric, do you think Magnus is going to string another one together?
MVL is certainly one of the players in the field who does overpush. He takes as much risk as possible. So this game is very likely to be decisive one way or another. Magnus is looking for revenge for the loss yesterday, though. So I think Magnus will string another game here.
All right, and we see the players as they get ready for action. I was going to say, Maxime needing a win to stop this runaway Magnus train. And look at them go between Vladimir Kramnik and Veselin Topalov, and we do have moves.
Maxime needs to create an imbalanced, sharp position. I mean, he's generally just not going to outplay Magnus from a slow maneuvering sort of setup.
Although we have a Bogo Indian.
And now this is a very sharp variation that white goes e4, I believe.
Yes, e4.
Oh,
E4,
Magnus
D5.
playing d6. Well, that's typical for him, avoiding the sharpest theoretical line.
Exactly, but okay, White's
has supposed to,
got some nice space with his big center of pawns on e4, c4, and d4.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing like if Black were going to play this opening every game, a lot more people would play d4.
Exactly.
I mean, right?
Well, Magnus switched it up with a Stonewall to stop that pattern.
Exactly, but he had played the Bogo Indian
yesterday.
Against
Nakamura.
And then we saw Bishop d2 instead of Knight d2.
And he equalized very, very comfortably, and even went on to win.
That's right. So we see him play so he might have some special ideas here. We see him play c5, d5. As we know from Magnus, it's not all about getting the best opening possible. It's about making your opponents uncomfortable, especially in Blitz. And he's played Knight d7 and MVL quickly castling.
But if it's going to be a Benoni type of game with e6 takes d5, well, this bishop really looks strange on e7, so he's brought it back to a check Benoni position with this dark squared bishop on e7, not g7.
I think Magnus wants to play knight e8, g6, maybe knight g7, that sort of, Spanish sort of structure. But for sure, this is supposed to be better for white. Giving up all this space is not the best, although you have to be quite precise if you're playing white.
Well, two things catch my eye about this specific position is that the knight on d2 is passively positioned. Normally it's much better on the c3 square. And the second thing is white has already committed his king to the king side. a5, mixing things up by Magnus.
They traded. And
he takes a5.
I think that indicates you want to play a4, maybe a5 yourself as white, and try to put pressure on b7, but it's certainly not the positional move. But
well, basically,
that's exactly what MVL is doing.
MVL was committed to playing the move a4. Now we're expecting the maneuver you mentioned, Eric, trying to bring that knight to g7. He chose knight h5 as the starting move, which I think is fine. And he has provoked g3, which is a useful provocation because it means that in the future we may very well see a bishop h3, bishop c8, h3 landing on the board. Knight e1.
You know what? Maxime versus Magnus. Doesn't that sound like a superhero battle?
It does, doesn't it? Watch out, Marvel Comics.
That doesn't even sound real.
Knight g7 and knight g2 as both players are preparing
f5,
their breaks.
f4 might be on the board. Absolutely.
Well, I think f5 is a kind of a key move that Black absolutely has to get in. But he didn't play it. Magnus slow played it with knight f6.
Magnus slow playing it. What a surprise.
Yeah. And again, this knight on b3 is not making a very big impression. When the knight is on c3, it often sticks itself on the b5 square, attacking d6 and c7 squares. f2, f3. I'm not sure I really like this way for Maxime. Bishop h3, rook f2. I actually like this move very much because rook f2 is eyeballing the opportunity to come over here to b2 and pressure this pawn on b7
But
on a good day.
Magnus preparing f5.
So Magnus first wanted to develop his bishop to h3 before getting it in f5 and knight e3. Well, again, a very strange play by white. I'm not a big fan of this position for white. I like the move f7, f5, and given a choice, I prefer black.
He's got it in, bishop f1, trading on the f1 square, bishop f1, queen f1.
And now, the big move here, if I'm black, is I really want to play the move
That's
f5 or bishop e7 to g5.
Bishop g5, that's what Magnus started with. Bishop g5 played in the game, and he's still going to try to play the move f4.
Exactly. All right. And still, again, this knight on b3 just really,
Loose seas.
well, it just does nothing. It's just on a very bad circuit. Easier play, definitely, for the world champion.
And there's been a capture in f5, and Magnus decided to create this imbalance after bishop takes e3, bishop takes e3, knight takes f5.
Nice square. Nice square
Liking
for the
black's
knight.
position.
Yeah, he's just Magnus in cruise control. He just looks so, he plays so easily and well.
Seen another trade with knight d4, knight takes d4, c takes d4. Now the c5 square is super juicy.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is the minor piece I like.
Yeah.
Magnus played bishop b4, preventing that idea, or rather, if it happens, he's going to snap it.
Right, but okay, black has a protected pass pawn in the
And
position.
can I play queen b6 here? How's that going? I guess you have rook b2, so it's a bit annoying.
No, I like queen b6.
Queen b6 has been played.
Absolutely, I like queen b6 very much, in fact. Because the point is, if you play rook b2, I can always play knight c5 here in a pin. And, well, also rook b, you got to be careful that there might be an e5, e4.
Exactly, and d3 check is always in the air too. Right now it doesn't do
Right.
much, but it could do something later.
Absolutely.
Yikes.
So, very, very concretely,
Scary
Magnus
position for Maxime, but he has played rook b2.
So now-
inviting e4. I'm really surprised. e4 looks like a really big shot.
But instead, Magnus started with d3 check, but maybe he's going to follow it up with e4.
No
Well,
question
d3 is
about it.
annoying because of queen f2, there's rook f3.
And if you are
That's a
forced
good
to
one.
move, if
Your
you're
queen
forced
is
to move
pinned.
your king, queen d4 looks like a very big
And
move.
that's what Magnus started with. He just played queen d4 here,
And this looks
soaring those rooks. That looks disgusting.
horrifying. Horrifying.
You just gotta play. Well, he's played rook b3.
And
at
now
least
rook
trying to-
f3 seems
Rook
like
F3.
a pretty strong shot in this position.
But Magnus just played
E4.
e4.
e4 works
immediately.
as well. I mean, this is
And
just...
by the way, c4 is now hanging. Oh, this is a
This-
total disaster for
this is-
MVL.
Yes.
And
Lovely
Magnus
game by
is-
Magnus, and an opening that looked so passive at first.
Yeah, but he just
Outplays.
easily outplayed his. These are top guys. I mean, the world champion just seems to be in a zone of his own. When he plays his best chess, he's imperial.
This is one
It's
of his
fantastic.
best games, though, most convincing.
Oh.
I mean, just absolutely crushing. I mean, to be fair, MVL perhaps a bit tired because he's not really showing his stuff. We've seen him play some really fantastic games in the Grand Chess Tour. This one, he
Well,
it's just,
Bishop c3, probably just queen c4,
queen
rook
c4,
b7.
rook b7.
Queen,
That's on the board, by
queen
the way.
c3, then rook f3. Just trade
Wow.
everything off and take on f3.
Wow.
And you've got those
Or
two
play-
pawns, and we
play
know how
E3.
valuable those are. The two pawns both headed to this. Well, soon they're going to be both in the 6th rank.
Exactly.
And they say that's worth a rook. Maurice said it's worth a minute can be worth a piece. Well, having
Pawns
connected
on-
pass pawns in the 6th rank.
Magnus
Yeah,
figuring out if e3, e2 just wins on the spot.
Exactly. And
Instead of
that-
even taking on f3, just e3, e2. If rook c1, just e2 after e3.
Exactly.
And he
And
does
he's
it.
played
yeah.
it.
And he's just played e3.
Probably resignation soon.
Absolutely. Wow. Talk about getting your doors blown, and just take a look visually at this position.
A
Wow.
Blitz game, Magnus, just a terror. And what I do admire is that he's been playing such combative openings. Sometimes people say that Magnus likes to play some really quiet lines and try to get a small edge, but with black, he's been going for it in the Blitz and the Rapids.
He's putting the
we've
pressure
seen
on his opponent.
Nine-dwarfs,
Caricons,
Dutches, just
Stonewall Dutches, Bogo Indians, Nimzo Indians. Really, really impressive play in this event.
well, there's lots of less ambitious lines to play against the Bogo. So of course, Maxime also getting the credit for playing such an ambitious line, but I don't know
He's
if we
in
can
the
give him
zone.
that much credit.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'd see this move Rook B1 on a, he's hoping that by doubling his rooks on the 7th, but with this queen defending the G7 square, I think this is really hopeless. Very fine move, by the way. Rook B6 by Magnus. You can't capture on B6. The E2 pawn just goes home.
This
And
is
Rook
such a
B6
beautiful move, just showing how to
Sim-
squelch counterplay, the combination of attack and defense in chess.
Beautiful, just awesome. And you just have to catch your breath and say awesome.
This is the kind of position that it must be fun. I mean, Magnus is just like enjoying himself now, isn't he?
Rook B6, E2, and there you have it.
And
Handshake.
there's the
Let's
resignation
go.
because he is going to get 2 queens. Big news, Wesley So has also won.
How did he win in this? Did he win? Is that for sure? Because
Yes.